Hey guys, so welcome back to What's the Word?
Yes,
To
sir.
What's the Word podcast. So today we have another guest with us.
Yes, we do.
Actually, another family member of ours, believe it or not. It's Brian's sister. So believe it or not, she looks a lot like Brian.
Do I really?
You good looking or no?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
bro.
we are.
It runs in the
It
genes.
runs in the
yeah.
family, right, Lalo?
Yes, sir.
He's got to agree too.
Yes.
'Cause-
Anywho, so this is, this is your first time with us. So,
Yep.
Yeah, so welcome, man.
First time.
Welcome,
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you.
But yeah, well, I've been knowing you pretty much all my life. But tell us who you are, man. Tell the people who you are.
Yeah.
You know what's going on.
Tell us something about you.
Exactly.
Tell
What do you
us
work?
Tell us your
Are
secrets.
you studying? Are you working? You know,
So my name is Yoselyn.
with the Y, not a J.
Yeah, with the Y's. It's a little special.
Yeah.
2 Y's.
2 Y's. Yeah, and no C. It's an S. Yeah.
Okay.
All
All right,
I am
continue.
studying.
I'm just playing. Go ahead.
But I don't think nobody.
No.
You are studying?
Yeah.
What are you studying?
I'm going in for real estate.
Let's go.
Real estate. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Gonna buy me my first house with my sister's help.
Yeah. Hit me up.
How long is that gonna take you, actually?
I should be in like 3 months. 2 months.
Oh, that's good.
2 or 3 months.
That's really good.
So hit me up in 3 months.
Hey, get up in 3 months from now. So, I think this episode will go up like in October. So it's probably be what? We're probably gonna be into the new year by that time.
Crazy,
Christ.
bro.
Nah, that's wild.
Time flies by, huh?
Time flies by, honestly.
Boy,
But
crazy.
so the topic of the word today was because I had a conversation with you and with Suze when we went to Waukegan a couple weeks back. And we started talking about sort of our past experience with maybe people that not they ended, but there was maybe a little bump of heads at a certain point. So, what's the word for today? Forgiveness. Forgiveness. Honestly, forgiving is probably one of the toughest things. I think as you start getting older, is a lot harder to do than it is just to say. For me, honestly, I think one of the first times most recently that I held a grudge was when I moved here and I was living with family, and for various amount of reasons, I had to step out of the home. So honestly, I didn't agree how things ended. To be fair, I think a couple months I held a lot of grudges against them. And I think it was almost for like a year. It was like a good solid year that I'm like, nah, dude, I would see them and I would tell you especially, and I'm like, nah, dude, I don't want to see them, bro. I was like, I just don't like them, you know? And it was tough seeing them in person. Like every time we would have like family gatherings, this and that, it was tough for me to see them. But it wasn't until one night I talked to our good friend Alfredo down in Mexico. Si estás viendo esto, bro, te mando un saludo fuerte. I called Alfredo on the phone, and it was like, hey, dude, you're not gonna be able to grow. You're not gonna be able to fulfill your purpose in God, or you're never gonna go in that profound relationship with Him if you don't forgive them in your heart. I'm not telling you to go forgive them in person, but forgive them in your heart. And it was something very hard for me to do. But I remember, I think I prayed that night. I cried because I still remember the pain. And I still remember it. But I think something that I learned about forgiveness as of recently is that you can remember something that they did to you, but you don't feel the pain anymore. It's just like, it's there. So, thank God I really get along with them now. Every time I see them, we have a really good talk. We've shared meals together now. So, but I remember that moment of forgiveness is just like unlocked something within me. And I was like, and the Bible talks a lot about forgiveness too. So,
Yeah,
but I don't know. As of recently, I don't know what do you guys have to say like with in regards to forgiveness. What comes to you guys' mind, or any personal experience that you guys maybe had with forgiveness?
Ladies first.
Ladies first. Our guest should go first.
Let me think. What was that? A couple, 2 or 3 years ago. I feel like most of the, when people talk about forgiveness, it's usually, friendships, relationships type of thing that, right? So, it was a friendship that we had. and it didn't, like, I don't know, something happened, and then we didn't end in a good terms. And I think it's kind of similar to you. Like, we didn't end in good terms. Things happened, this and that. But bro, like, I hold a grudge for so long, and like people don't like actually like notice how much like it affects someone. Like daily activities, bro. Like it's crazy how much like how our brain also like works around all that. You know, like forgiving. Like it's crazy how much a big impact. So that's the word I was looking for. Impact. But yeah, bro. Then I went to Mexico on a missionary trip, and we had like a small group. I still remember exactly how everything happened, and it was just like us girls, and then one of our leaders that she was talking to us, and then we all spoke about something that we were fighting for, like in our lives, like all our single battles, and we just all started crying. Like it was crazy. Like it was just so like intimate, and I think just speaking about it like just definitely helped a lot. I think I hadn't spoken about the topic to somebody else before, so like that helped out a lot, you know. And then after that, like, I was okay. I need to forgive, right? But once you forgive, like, it's like a whole like weight coming off your shoulders.
Oh yeah, it is.
Like it's crazy how much it actually impacts you. So, but yeah, bro.
You know what I was reading today? You know, holding grudges can affect your health.
It can.
Yeah, it can. I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, it could cause you stress. It could give you migraines. It could give you eating disorders. It could give you long-term heart problems, which is nuts. I'm like, bro. I'm like, there's a reason why the Bible says it. It's not so much because of the forgiving like itself, but there's like so much benefits out of it that you just don't see. Wow. And like, dude, I was like, yo, that's crazy. Because I remember like during that time, like especially like at first, dude. Like, I would get a lot of headaches. Like, I would eat junk food. Not that I'm saying that I have, like, a very healthy diet right now, which maybe I should be doing. But, still, I'm like, bro, I didn't even know. But, yeah, man. Forgiving is not something that, I think I heard it one time. It's not so much that you do it for that one person, but more so for yourself. Mm-hmm. You know? Because I think every time you hold that grudge, you're sort of tying yourself to that person, whether you like it or not. But what about you, bro? Has someone came up to you and said, "I'm sorry," or you vice versa?
Has someone broke my heart? Nah.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, definitely, dude. Not only relationship wise, but like friendships too. Mm-hmm. You know, people let you down, and at the end of the day, I think you have to learn the way of Jesus, which is the way of forgiveness. Yeah. And it's super key. So, you didn't ask me if I ever had this moment. You just asked me a different question. It was like, if I've ever...
Has someone ever
asked
you, you know, for like, hey man, I'm sorry for this, or you vice versa.
Definitely. Dude, alright, honestly, I'm super thankful for the experience that I had when I went to Argentina. Because I definitely did have those moments. Yeah, maybe where I had heads. Yes, of course, dude. I was living with 23 other guys. Yeah. It was
bound to happen.
Yeah, dude. It was bound to happen. We all had different mentalities, different cultures, even different ways of viewing the same faith. Mm-hmm. Because I wouldn't say religion. I don't like the word religion, but like faith. We had different versions of the same faith. And due to that, we would crash sometimes. And it was almost never about faith. It was always about the small things. Like, for example, homie didn't do his laundry. He has a mess, and it's my room, too.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I know for sure.
You know what? I don't blame you, though. I don't blame you. And
one of the things for me was, alright, so I was down in Argentina. I was the only American from the U.S., right? So their idea of the U.S. is rich, prospered, they have money, he has bank. So... I would always get food stolen from my cabinet. Oh. Yeah, they'd always get, like, breads, eggs. They'd always take all the things. Like, I'd look, and I'd be like, I just bought a new case of eggs. Like, I'd buy the 24 count. Okay. Right? I'd be popping. I'm like, okay, I got for, like, 2-3 weeks. Yeah. We good. We set. And I'd be popping up, like, 2-3 days after, and I'd be like, it's half empty, you know? Yeah. And I remember it wasn't until about around this time of last year. So, I was already, like, 6 months in. When one of the persons, after this devotional that we had, I guess he got the fear of God in him or something.
Yeah.
And he came up to me and he's like, bro, I gotta be honest, I'm one of the persons that steals from you. And he's like, I've been doing it for like a couple months.
Bro.
And I was like, dang, I want to stick him. You know?
Yeah,
but at the same time, I was super thankful. I'm like, bro, he came up to me. He just could have just stopped doing it.
Yeah.
But he came up to me and said, I'm sorry. So I thought that was really cool. His explanation was literally, I was jealous because you were American.
Oh.
And I was like, he was honest. He was brutally honest.
Yeah, because I know you don't mind, like, I don't mind sharing food,
Yeah.
like, for example, but, like, dude, ask.
Yeah, it's
ask.
a different thing when they
And
ask
to be honest, it wasn't even the worst thing that happened. Or like to me,
Yeah,
it was.
okay.
To me, it was like, okay, food was probably the biggest one because it happened very constantly.
Yeah.
And we had talked about it as a house, like I had told the leaders and they had talked to everyone.
Yeah.
But forgiveness was so key. Like in my headspace, it was me learning to forgive without even knowing who had done it. And I think that was so key. So it was like I would see. Like, for example, let's use the bread as an example. Yeah. I would see that my loaf of bread was half empty. We'd buy bread to accompany our food because we would usually not have enough in lunch. Like, we would serve portions and it would be, like, limited. So everyone wanted bread.
Yeah.
But not everyone wanted to pay for bread.
Gotcha.
So it's like, Brian has...
There is always that one friend in the friend group where you're like, right. Oh, yeah, I'll bring the napkins. I was like, okay.
And obviously, I'm talking about a more minor thing because it was something that was... replaceable. But there were things that happened. For example, I had this one friend. I had just bought a new cologne. I had no cologne over there, dude. I had just bought a new cologne. Calvin Klein Euphoria, shout out.
Oh, okay.
Well, what's it called? My friend dropped it from the table. Like 3 days after I bought it. Yeah. And I knew he could pay for it. But in my mind, it was like, it's okay. I'd rather have his friendship, you know?
Yeah.
So forgiveness for me, at the end of the day, is having the choice of saying, I'd rather show love than be in the right.
Definitely.
I have this phrase in Spanish. Prefiero tener amor que tener la razón, which is I'd rather have love than have the reason and have the right reason. So it's like I know maybe I'm in the right. Maybe this person did me wrong and he should forgive. He should be the one asking me for forgiveness. But I forgive him before because I'd rather love everyone than not. Because that's what Jesus did, you know? But yeah,
I think I'm not going to lie. I think that's... The fact that we hold sometimes grudges is sometimes the reason that we don't grow spiritually with God.
Definitely.
Because just reading, for example, in Matthew 18, and I was hearing a preach about this the other day, about, es la parábola del deudor. Wait, hold on. Let me look it up in English real quick. It's called,
The depths?
It's called The Parable of the Unforgiving Debtor. Debtor. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but y'all get the point.
Yeah.
So, when Peter asked him, he was like, how many times should I forgive someone who offends me? He was like, well, you offend them. No, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. So, like, I feel like sometimes we just don't grow, and sometimes we're like in that position where we're like, hey, God, like, I want to keep on growing with you. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I was like, what else do I have to give? Go forgive that person. You're like, I don't want to, bro. It's like, nah, I don't want to do that. And it's a very tough thing because I think as humans, we are, because of our fallen nature, we are egotistical. We are. Because I remember, I think in another instance, where I held a grudge against somebody. And we were listening to this song when I was riding with Yoselyn. I was riding with Alan. And this song from Gavi, So I'm Fine. And the lyrics, last lyrics were like, oh my God. It's where he's talking about, like, I guess in one point that I guess he just had problems with somebody. But where he says, like, I won't just read, like, a couple of the lyrics, like, from the last verse. He says, I realize we're human and that's what we share. And all this time, I thought you never cared. Forgiveness is key. I'm unlocking this hurt. As I'm writing this letter, do you judge? And, like, I guess sometimes as people, we do have high expectations. It's normal, It's normal. But I'm like, dang, bro. And then, you sort of hear God saying like, I've kind of forgiven you for a lot of things, my guy.
Right.
Like, I don't, like, if you really think about it, it's like, the things that I've seen, I could really just ruin your reputation in a second.
Definitely.
So, when I started thinking about God's grace and the way how he even treated Judas, how Jesus treated Judas, even though he was knowing he was going to trade him, and even though he was going to stab him in the back, the way he treated Judas, he still washed his feet, if I'm not mistaken, on the Last Supper.
He did?
He did. And he forgave him. Same thing with Peter. Peter denied him 3 times. Jesus still forgave him. I'm like, dang. Like, I shouldn't be giving that attitude of being like, nah, dude, I don't want to forgive him because he doesn't deserve it. I'm like, did you really deserve God's forgiveness too, my guy? I was like, I don't know. So, I mean, you seem confronted. Like,
Yeah,
I've been
definitely.
confronted. Because you just, like, nah, but, like, I'm like, God, but see him, though. Like, he did this to me, he did that. Yeah, but look at the cross. Look at what I did.
Yeah.
Look at what I did.
I mean, it's kind of mentioned on Psalms 130, one that I was seeing, and I love the version, the Message. I remember we had mentioned it, right?
Great version of the Bible, honestly.
But Psalms 130 verses 3 and 4 says, "If you, God, kept records on our wrongdoings, who would stand a chance?" And verse 4 says, "As it turns out, forgiveness is your habit. I mean, and that's why you're worshipped." Mm-hmm. So it's like, if God was to lay out all of our mistakes,
all our past,
all our errors, it would be worse than we actually believe.
No, yeah.
And because we usually see, I remember, I don't know who showed it, but someone from the church had mentioned it, from youth group, had mentioned it to me, but I had already seen it before. This one, I'm pretty sure he was a Jewish rabbi, that talked about, like, if you don't brush your teeth for a week. So if you don't brush your teeth for a week, everyone in the room can tell that you didn't brush your teeth.
Oh, yeah.
But your nose won't let you know.
Mm.
So he was basically saying it's very easy to point out what others are doing wrong. It's very hard to find out what you're doing wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's the key of forgiveness. It's stopping a moment and saying, I'm not judging you because you sin differently than me.
Mm-hmm.
I have to look at me. So it's like, we're on a path, I forgive you. Yes, maybe that other person made a mistake, but that doesn't automatically make me the judge of that person. Mm-hmm. And allows me to be able to judge him and say, he doesn't deserve forgiveness, you know? I think everyone deserves forgiveness at the end of the day. The same way I guess, well, I don't know if we deserved it, but we got it. You know,
yeah, we got it. We definitely did.
We got it from God. We got forgiveness from God. So if we receive something that humanly wasn't deserved, why can't we give it to others if we were wrong too? Yeah. So it's just a crazy thing. Forgiveness is a big topic, and it's difficult for many people. It's very difficult. Yeah. But I believe it's a lifestyle that has to be trained and has to be practiced and has to be developed to actually be able to enjoy and enjoy and prosper in life and in any spiritual growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. There's a phrase in Spanish que dice perdonar y olvidar. I mean, you don't really forget.
Forgive and forget.
You don't really forget.
Yeah.
The reason why I don't like saying forget, forget the pain, right? Forget the grudge. But I think the reason maybe it happened to you, looking at it sort of in a helpful way, like, for example, like Yoselyn, let's say if somebody did you dirty, right? For example, in the past, you know. But if another girl comes up to you and is like, hey, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm having troubles with this girl, or she's doing this to me, she's doing that, you know. Don't get me wrong, we don't justify it. We don't justify the actions, right? But I think our jobs as Christians is like, well, I mean, you're not doing anything better to yourself, but just holding a grudge, you know? So, like, I think many of the things that happen to us, whether they're done to us or whether just for any reason, right? They just happen to us. I think at the end of the day, it is to tell a story, you know? We have scars. We have bruises that sadly people give to us. And maybe we've even given bruises as well.
Of course.
You know, we're human. Sadly, we do come from a fallen nature. But for example, now the question where I'm going into is like, for example, if a girl sort of is going through the same situation that maybe you went at one point, like, what are you telling that young girl? Like, hey, I'm having problems with this girl at school, or maybe this girl at church. And honestly, like, I feel like, you know, we're just bumping heads a lot. Or maybe one time we were friends, we don't get along anymore. You know? What would be, like, the response that you would give her? Like, according maybe to the Bible, maybe according to, like, your personal experience. Like, where should she start? Where's, like, the starting point?
That's difficult, bro. That's a hard question to answer. Sometimes, I mean, personally, I would just remove myself from the situation. And try just, you know, get your distance.
Okay.
I think that's what sometimes helps out because, well, first, if you want to try, I would just, like, talk to the person, you know. And maybe if they're, like, little kids, they forget things easily.
No,
but some of them do, you know, they hold
But for
grudges.
example, let's say this girl's in high school. She has an idea of what's going on. She's sort of maturing still, but she has sort of a clear idea that, you know, something ain't right.
Yeah. It's difficult, bro. It's a hard question.
Because I don't think it's a bad thing to step away from the situation for a minute. I really don't think so. Reason being why, because I think
most people who are mature would just step away.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's the first instinct, that they would just step away from the situation.
Yeah.
And, you know, remove themselves, like, from anything like that.
So what steps would you give them for them to, you know, get to the point of forgiveness?
I think speaking about it to someone, like, you trust, and, like, just letting it out. Sometimes, like, holding in, you know, that holds in grudges, that holds in anger, makes your ego, like, it's just a lot of things, you know. I think, like, not forgiving is also, like, part of our ego. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, like, it could be something so simple, bro, but because we're being, because of our ego, we hold that grudge against them. You know, and, like, it's just so much. And, well, yeah. So I would just speak about it with somebody. That doesn't help. I think just pray.
Yeah.
I think speaking then directly to God. Well, you should obviously pray the whole time, right? But speaking directly to God and just, like, you know, be like, bro, like, this is going on with school. Like, you know, just talk to him. Like, he'll understand.
Yeah.
And he'll help you out through the process. And forgiving is not easy. It's not easy at all, but it's definitely a process. But trust me, it's 10 times better when you're doing it with God. It makes the process a lot easier. And just knowing, like, he's there with you, it's just a lot better, you know?
Yeah, dude. And talking to someone, I think, is super key. Talking about someone, like, all the situation that's going on. Because sometimes we are closed into what our eyes and our ideas.
Yeah.
What we think of a situation. Also gives us clarity and definition onto us not being wrong. Also, like, it's good to have your best friend, but if your best friend, let's say, we mentioned a girl, right? A girl in high school. Let's say you're talking to your best friend, but your best friend also doesn't like this other girl. Like, I don't know if that's the best
way to
route.
approach it.
Yeah, because it's like, it's everyone against that other girl.
Yeah.
And one of the most difficult verses that I've read in the Bible for me, or most confronting, is when the disciples are asking Jesus, how many times do we forgive? Do we forgive him up to 7 times?
Yeah.
And Jesus, like, 7 times 77. Like,
yeah.
Basically, forgive them every single time they come. Forgive them every single time they make a mistake on you. And as a person in this world that's been taught to, like, forgive and forget. But forget about the person. Like, not forget about their mistake. It's like, forget about them in general. And I think that's where it's wrong. It's like, you can't forget what they did wrong. But you also can't forget the person. It's still a soul.
Yeah.
It's still someone who needs Jesus. It's still someone who is loved by God. And hence, we should love too. So, it's a very difficult situation. And I've been thinking about that a lot, especially with a person specifically in my life right now. Where it's like, I've forgiven them, but I haven't pursued them for Christ. So it's like, I know they need Jesus. I know they need God, but did I really forgive them? And if I did forgive them, why am I not loving them? You know? I guess there's a path. Like, after forgiveness comes love, but we forgive because we love. So something's wrong in my heart that needs to change, so that I can forgive and love.
Yeah. What would be like a practical tip that you would give? You know, for a person to go like who's had maybe holding a grudge, who could be holding a grudge right now.
Holding a grudge. Right.
And it could be anyone.
Practical tip.
Practical steps to lead you towards forgiveness, which I think I think forgiveness isn't a feeling; it's a decision.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a decision. So, but
I would say there's two or three things. I would say one of them could definitely be talking to someone else and being like open, but first and foremost, being open with God, being super honest about my situation, being like, God, I'm having difficulties with this person. I'm not in accordance with this person. I'm mad at them. I'm upset with them. I'm hurt by them, and it's being very difficult for me to forgive. I think that would be the first one. And the second one is asking God for the courage to speak to that person. And I think that's very difficult.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember one time when we were in, it was just like a worship moment, and they started telling us like, oh, we feel as though you need to reach out to the people you've had issues with, and maybe you haven't spoken about. Oh, dude, that was so difficult, but I would just see how all of us would just start getting closer. And I remember I had to tell a person, I'm like, bro, when I met you, I did not like you. And I came to apologize to that person because I did not like that person when I met him. And I'm like, I'm sorry because I judged you before I met you. And that's very difficult, but it's so healing and so opening because now that person is like one of my closest friends.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe forgiveness is the key that opens up the door to a huge blessing that we were waiting for.
Yeah. And it takes you on a deeper relationship and a deeper level with God as well.
Definitely, bro. But yeah, that would be kind of my tips. Like, hey, opening your heart up to God, opening your heart up to other people, and opening your heart up to that person too. But it's difficult.
Yeah.
Because we also sometimes to God it's very difficult for us to hide. We can't really hide anything.
No, you can't. Yeah.
We can't hide anything.
There's no point in it either.
Yeah, because He knows. So it's like, so He'll be like, if you're lying to God, He'll be like, bro, yeah. But we can lie to people and we can lie to that person too. So you can go on for years having a grudge against a person and acting super normal in front of them.
No, yeah.
And that's worse.
That's even worse. That's worse and tiring, if anything.
Yeah.
Just wearing a mask is so tiring. Oh my god.
Yeah. So that would be my tip, bro. Yeah. Being open-hearted about the situation.
Yeah, as of recently, one of my managers, I was like, when I first came in, I'm like, dang, dude, this guy follows everything by the book. And I'm like, I feel like I'm going to bump heads with him a lot. And at first I did, but as of recently, there's been some things that I didn't understand. I guess, like, I had this discussion with another of the general managers, and he was like, I just wanted to know what happened. And I told him this and that, but he explained everything, like, so calmly. And ever since then, like, dang, dude, maybe I, like, judged this guy, like, way too quick. He isn't that bad. Even though he puts a lot of work on you, like, at least he's explaining, like, why of things. You know, or he's giving somewhat of a clarity of what's going on. Honestly, I think those are, like, the funniest stories, especially just because, like, hey, man, I'm not going to lie. Like, I've had those instances, like, dude, I just didn't like you. And you just laugh about it now because you're like, oh, snap, we just get along. Yeah. I remember in high school, this guy and me, at one point, dated the same girl.
Okay.
I did not like him from afar. I'm like, this guy just seems like the most obnoxious / egotistical, like, I don't know. He seemed so obnoxious. And I remember one time we were driving because we were going to go play soccer, and it was 3 of us. So it was me, him, and another dude. And he was like, hey, man, did you guys ever talk that you guys dated the same girl? And we were like, honestly, we haven't touched on it, but, I mean, we can now. I mean, since you already brought it up. And we just started laughing, but ever since then, like, we've gotten along. Sometimes I'll get, like, texts from him, like, hey, man, can you help me, like, on my English homework? Because he's doing college right now in Mexico. I was like, hey, man, can you help me with English? It's funny. But some practical tips that I would give as well. One thing is prayer. Be open up with God. Open up your heart. Ask for, especially just understanding. Ask you for calmness. For that courage to talk to him as well. Another thing, ask for his heart and the way that God sees them as well. That would be another big thing. The way that God sees them. because sometimes in our own eyes, we can only see so much, you know? We can only see the issue or, like, what they did to you, because that's what's covering our eyes because of our emotions, because how we feel. As Yoselyn was mentioning, a spiritual leader or a spiritual father/mother, whether that be your parents, maybe family members, someone who you know will talk to you according to the Bible and the way that it should be approached by, not so much like in your favor. And a story that maybe you guys could read if you guys are reading the Gospels, or if you guys have read those Gospels, especially see how Jesus treated Peter after he denied him. See how Jesus treated Judas, even though he knew he was going to get backstabbed. And I would also recommend the parable of the unforgiving debtor in Matthew 18.
Yeah.
So those are some things that you guys could read throughout the week. I mean, I'm trying to think of Scene of the Chosen, but I don't think I've seen one just yet about forgiveness. But I know I've heard some crazy stories. I know there's been, especially, there's this one girl who I heard from the video that you sent to the youth group chat one time for Sheep.
Sheep Among Wolves.
Where this girl is talking about she was getting abused in her own household with her father there, and after a couple years passed by, she went to go forgive this man, like, for what, you know, he had done to her. So there's a lot of stories of forgiveness out there. And yeah, don't try and hold grudges, guys. I'm not saying that I don't justify that person. I don't justify what they did to you by any means. But I think if you're trying to get into that new phase in your relationship with God, it could be possible that if you are holding a grudge with somebody, what could be holding you back is that. Yeah. And it's not unlocking your true potential that you could reach with them. So, but that's all I have to say. I don't know if you guys want to add any last words, any last things, maybe a passage that or a verse that comes to mind that you guys want to maybe slip in there.
Psalms. Hold up, let me pull it up.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. By the way, for those who don't have me on the Bible app, please add me on the Bible app. I'm not gonna lie, I have some of the youth group there. I've seen what you guys read, some interesting stuff, man. Do I have you? I don't have you, Adam. I think you should get the Bible app, bro. All right.
Psalms 51. I thought it was 50. It's 51:10. That's why I wanted to check. It says, "Create in me a clean heart, O God. Renew a loyal spirit within me." That's in NLT. The message is super long, but basically it says...
very poetic.
So. Yeah, it is. "God, make a fresh start in me. Shape a Genesis week from the chaos of my life." And that's kind of just what I wanted to mention. Like, create in me a clean heart. Because at the end of the day, Lalo mentioned something that's super key. Seeing people with God's eyes. Mm-hmm. Like, seeing people with the love of God and seeing them the way that God sees them. Because it's very easy to judge people when you see their beginning, their A point. Mm-hmm. But it's very difficult to see their B, where God is planning to take them. But yeah.
I had one other verse too. I was reading, and there was in Luke 6:37. It says, "Do not judge others, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn others, or it would all come back against you. Forgive others, and you will be forgiven." That's kind of like God speaking to us, right? Like how He forgave us, and we should forgive others because He forgave us, you know. And just the sacrifice He did for us on the cross, that speaks a lot.
Speaks for itself.
Yeah. So. Yep.
But anyway, guys, that was this episode for What's the Word. Yeah, we love you guys. We'll see you guys next episode. Peace out. Remember, we have our services here at 10:30. We'll leave all our links and services down below. Love you guys. God bless. All right? Stay safe out there.
Love y'all.
Peace out.
Bye. What's the word?